Do you know there's a special? Well, we're on live stream.
We are. Sorry.
I think he said meeting.
A special meeting. I thought he said meeting.
I got 3.
May I have the
Yes,
while
I
we're
will.
sitting here, the times for the agenda or for the executive session?
You would ask me that because I got to fill this out.
Yeah, you do. Size.
5:03 at 6:20. Okay, I heard that.
You heard that about him?
I did. Because I'm trying to stay busy with other
You didn't
things.
bring a USB, right? So I'm just
Mr. Merz is my how's the family? They're good. The baby's good. Mama good.
Second day without mom there.
Oh,
I've been home during this week.
oh,
And
good for you.
yesterday we got
Right.
1.5 ounces of milk. Today it was 2, so it's improved.
Good for you.
I want to pull the courtesy to pull off. I have a few questions.
All right, it's 6:32 p.m. and we're going to reconvene this regular city council meeting
Okay.
for Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. We're going to start with a roll call. Ms. Martinez, please.
Sheena Martinez, District 1.
Houston Marchman, District 2. Phil King, District 3.
David Merz Jr. for District 4.
Albert Lee, District 5.
Bruce Alexander, Mayor. Okay, everyone's present. Would we all please stand for a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Councilman Merz, could you please give us an invocation?
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, creator of heaven and earth, source of all blessings and all virtues, give this council tonight patience, cooperation, and kindness for our neighbors. Help us to remember that we are all in this together. Help us to keep in mind what's best for the city. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, David. All right.
Wasn't in the packet.
We're going to move on here to item number 7, citizens' comments. As we start every meeting, the city council will hear comments from any citizen or visitor. Speakers must address their comments to the presiding officer rather than individual council members or staff. Stand at the podium, speak clearly into the microphone, and state your name, residential address before speaking. Speakers will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes for testimony in accordance with the State Open Meetings Act. The city council is restricted from discussing or taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Action can only be taken in a future meeting. And also, I just want to remind everybody out there that if you wanted to speak about a particular agenda item, we have a public participation form that you can fill out on any agenda item. And as long as it's turned in before we call that agenda item, you will be allowed to speak at that time.
Or you can speak now
Or
about any agenda.
right. I'm not going to take away. You can speak citizens' comments, or you can speak at that time, whatever. So I'm opening it up for citizens' comments. Anybody would like to make any? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I have your, for the other one.
You do. Priscilla Garrett, 702 Florence, Castroville. Back to talk about the space in front of City Hall where previously there were 2 trees. We've received both negative and positive comments about the action that was taken. But as a reminder, the trees were past their prime and beginning to show dry rot. So to move along, what to do next? We have heard a few ideas. Replant the trees, replant with just xeriscape plants, make an area with benches for people to sit, plant a tree on each side of the current lawns, fill it in with rocks, etc. We had all kinds of ideas given to us. But that's just the small group that usually just works around City Hall and all. So Since City Hall belongs to all of us, I'd like to see, if possible, some kind of citywide survey, maybe in the utility bills, for ideas from the citizens. Someone out there may have an idea we've not thought about or heard. And it's kind of the only way I know of, maybe unless we get it out on the internet out there sometime. But we really would like to hear from more than just what we normally hear from about what goes in the front of City Hall, because it's an important thing. And last, we're requesting, hoping that the front of the building be clean and power washed before we start any replanting or doing whatever is decided on. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. Is there anyone else who would like to make any citizens' comments?
Hello,
Please.
my name is Christopher Howard.
Yes.
I'm on 107 River Forest. I've been having an issue with code compliance. I joined the military, I deployed, I got out, I wound up with a whole host of issues, and I found a passion, which was building cars. And I get it, not everyone wants to see someone rebuild a car in their driveway. Almost everybody in the neighborhood loved it. They were talking to me about it. One person had an issue, and now I've had code compliance come out 3 times. I was amenable at first. I built the fence. We built the fence around the front so you can't see it. And then now you can see the corner of it. So code compliance came back, and they were griping about it. I have more money in this Mustang and the metalwork and labor than my Corvette is worth. How does that count as a junk car? Does it count as a classic car? Like, how does it work in the code? Because the code just says it's a junk car. And this car is worth more than my Corvette is worth right now. I don't understand how the code labels that as a junk car.
I'm gonna give a fact answer. We can't discuss this, but the code of ordinances are drafted in accordance with state law and what definitions are. And I'm not going to get into what is or isn't qualified, but one of the general rules that's been used in the past, if it has current registration. So I don't know. I would have to yield that to the code enforcement and the municipal court on how they actually interpret that.
Because, I mean, God forbid if something happens to me and my Corvette breaks down and it's sitting there for a week, 30 days if I get sick with something horrible, God forbid, it could be labeled as a junk car, and it's a newer Corvette. So I don't understand how it's interpreted, and anything could be labeled as a junk car.
Well, again, I don't know all the rules. I know one of the most important ones is if it has like current registration. So I would have to yield to them. And if you've talked to the code enforcement officers or talked to the chief, maybe you can help get some resolution, sir.
Okay, I have talked to code enforcement, and they said it's basically up for interpretation of like what classifies as a junk car, even though parts are on back order, some parts, and I can't get it inspected, or DPS can't come to me, I have to go to them, so it has to be running. But it's
okay.
Because I've talked to Castroville PD as well, and they can't do a VIN inspection for me. I have to go to the DPS. So.
I don't know what else to tell you. I understand, sir. Okay.
Could that be in a future agenda meeting? Like,
I would encourage you maybe discuss this with our city administrator and if possible for a future discussion.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at citizens' comments? One more. Anyone else would like to speak at citizens' comments? If not, we're going to move on. All right. Item number 8. Thank you all for everything you've commented on. Item 8 is a consent agenda. Consent agenda items. I'm going to read them off. It's the minutes for the January 29th, 2026 special council meeting. Minutes for February 10th, regular council meeting. Approval of resolution for the police department to submit an application for Operation Stone Garden Grant, and approve an updated Castroville Municipal Airport courtesy vehicle policy and use indemnification agreement. Is there anyone would like to make any comments or questions about the consent agenda?
So I'd like to pull item C on the courtesy car.
Item C on the courtesy car, okay,
Like make a motion to approve the other 3 items.
okay.
Second.
Okay, motion and second to approve the minutes for January 29th meeting, the February 10th meeting, and the resolution for the PD to submit application for Operation Stone Garden Grant. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now let's move here to the approve an updated Castroville Municipal Airport courtesy vehicle policy and use indemnification agreement. Councilman Lee.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad they got this done. It was needed. It brought up a lot of interesting issues. But there's nothing in here about what the cost of the city is going to be for this policy or if it's included in our existing policy. So that was really my only question.
Mr. Dixon.
Yeah, ultimately it's going to be subject to council appropriations in the future, just kind of like anything else. We do have 2 vehicles out there now, and that'll be a budgetary item. I'm sure in the future, each year as we look at the budgets and look at capital planning for the airport, that'll be something council will have to consider. But right now, there's not a cost because there's 2 cars out there that are available for use, and we're not proposing anything additional to that I'm aware of.
Okay, my question though, what is this policy going to cost? Because it's not in here.
Yeah, it shouldn't cost anything. Why would it cost anything?
Well, I don't know. Why wouldn't I ask the question if there was a
Yeah, no,
cost?
so yeah. So there is no the only there is a staff time element to this because the new policy you have to get a copy of the driver's license and a couple other items. Right now, it's kind of on the honor system. They check it out. So
I understand.
there's a cost in that respect that when someone needs a car, we're going to have to figure out how to do that. But that's more of a staff time issue. The airport is staffed, so that isn't an issue. I don't believe that there's any ongoing costs to this policy. The courtesy car will be something y'all have to take up at some point.
You've been using courtesy cars. The airport fund has funded the vehicles,
Generally, yeah.
the gas, the operations of the vehicles. So there's no increase in any costs. There already
Right.
were. It's just
They're
an
already covered under our.
admin process. It's an admin process getting the paper.
Right. I don't think there's going to be anything new or different than what we're currently doing. This was really just the adoption of a policy.
Well,
There's not additional.
up until right now, all the other vehicles we've had out there have been hand-me-downs from the police department. So we didn't have to purchase them,
Right.
even though we had to maintain them, which
Right.
is fine. And I think this is an excellent thing because it helps us keep track of who uses it. We have to sign agreements. I don't know that we had that level before. But my only question was if this is something additional that the city is going to have to purchase as part of the city's insurance, that was all my question. Is there
No.
an additional cost? That's
Sure.
the only thing that I.
So they're
My
already
only
they're
question.
already covered under our insurance. And like I said, I think future councils may have to take up an issue with purchase of cars, whether they're bought or hand me down or whatever. But those will be budgetary related
That's a
items.
budget issue.
One thing I think we ought to add in here is a statement, because they've got to read the policy and agree to it, is phone numbers for Uber and those other things that are available if they wanted to do something beyond what we're allowing them to do.
Have that posted.
Have that posted.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know
I'm
if
good
that has to be
otherwise.
stated in the policy, but that's something that the staff can certainly do.
It should be posted, Mike, as far as anybody that needs to transportation. They have, here's a listing of if you want to pick. Okay.
So make a
Anything else?
motion to
Yes, sir, please.
accept the submitted draft policy for the courtesy vehicle at the airport.
And I'll second.
Motion made second. Mike, did you have anything at all you want to say on it? Okay. Motion made second to approve the courtesy courtesy vehicle policy for the Castroville Municipal Airport. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, moving on. Item number 9, City Council Liaison Reports. Start with the airport. Ms. Martinez.
Let's see here. We've got, there's some problems with the new sign that's out in front of the airport. Mike says that he's probably going to have to submit that underneath as a warranty claim for the sign. The courtesy car, you just saw that that was all of input that was given by the Airport Advisory Board to Mike. Mike had taken it and got it all consolidated down. He worked with the city attorney for the review and everything. So was that collaboration of all the input and everything. The Airport Advisory Board is still working on the input and updates for the Chapter 18. The plan is everybody to get their inputs to Mike for he can consolidate it down and then start working with the city attorney to make sure we're on the right track for that. The TxDOT conference is going to be the end of March, beginning of April timeframe. Pete and John Clarner are going to be the representatives going for Castroville. The hydrological study results are going to be coming in and presented at the next Airport Advisory Board meeting. Alpha Bravo has left the airport, so they're finally gone. So that's a good thing. And the next Airport Advisory Board meeting is going to be the 3rd of March at 5 p.m.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. P&Z, there was no meeting. Okay, thank you, sir. Library, Mr. Councilman Lee.
Yes, sir. The library is still a very aggressive group of ladies out there working for the city and the library. And of course, they continue to make the point we need room badly because we cannot take care of all the requests that come in for utilizing the library for programs. They're still working on the master plan for the library. Also interested in making the library a official place for voter registration. They're still checking into the legality of whether they can just hand out the forms, vice go further than that with voter registration. Also, an effort's being made to incorporate more Spanish language material of all types in the library lending program, and the ladies were very pleased that the lights were fixed up front, and so was Councilman Lee. That's it. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. They voted Dr. Juliana Renner as the new head of the library board.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Historic Landmark Commission, Mr. King.
Had one submission for a change to a certificate of appropriation, and after a brief discussion that was approved, and they also discussed their path forward with discussions related to the current, and if revisions are needed. And as we all probably remember, tomorrow they have a workshop in the morning with the city's consultant, Selena, to kind of figure out amongst themselves where they'd like to move forward. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Parks and Recreation, Councilman Mers.
The board met earlier this month and had an extensive discussion with the head of the Medina Valley Soccer Association about that group's impact on the park. In addition, they recommended several documents to council, including a community center policy and a collection of recommended updates to the subdivision ordinance. I'm not sure whether we want to tackle those first or if we want to send them to the Planning and Zoning Commission for action first. The community center is currently estimated at 57% completed, with hopes to be substantially complete in May, move in sometime early this summer. The board very strongly expressed their support for the adoption of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department grant for the Lions Park Playground.
Okay, thank you, sir. That concludes the liaison reports. Let's move to item 10. Consider impossible action resulting from items posted and legally discussed in executive session. I'm actually looking for a motion to direct the mayor to work with the city attorney to develop a plan of action to present to Scott.
I make a motion that the mayor works with the city attorney on establishing a performance improvement plan to present to Scott.
Present to the city administrator.
Present to the city administrator.
Okay. Motion made and second. Is there any
For the further discussion, though, is that
Yes.
that would come back to council before.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's to prepare one with the attorney and bring it back to city council.
Okay.
There's a,
Yes, so amended.
okay, motion and second to,
Okay,
Oh.
hold on.
yes,
I need you to I'm sorry,
Okay.
I caught part of
Okay.
it with working with
Okay.
the city attorney on
I'll
a,
fit-
what?
On a performance
Performance.
improvement plan
Okay.
yes.
to present to the city administrator, but bring it back to city council first for
To
approval.
bring it back to city council for review prior to the issuance to the city administrator.
Correct.
You got that? Okay. Motion made, second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Let's move to item 11. 11A, discuss the possible action to adopt a resolution authorizing a contract for services with the Castroville Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to ask Ms. Stone, the president of the Castroville Area Chamber of Commerce, to come up to the podium if city council has any questions. What you have here, myself met with the Chamber's Board of Directors and kind of pitched the idea of the city working with the Chamber do the hotel motel tax so they could work with us with travel tourism and economic development as it was 40 years ago in the relationship working with the Chamber. The Chamber, we kind of talked about, well, let's propose an agreement. Well, then we met with, in the city administrator's office with Ms. Stone, myself, actually, I better back up. After we met there, we came to city council and council created a liaison with city council and the Chamber of Commerce with Houston Marchman as the representative. And it was explained then what we were trying to do. So broad stroke. So then we had a meeting in Mr. Dixon's office with Ms. Stone. We had provided them with a copy of what the requirements are in the use of the funds. I believe they'd also been provided a former agreement with the Castroville Area Economic Development Council that had been in the past, and there were some questions posed by the chamber to us. I believe we worked those issues out. We came out with that, and out of that meeting, we drafted with the attorney. We drafted this agreement. The agreement, in my opinion, meets everything that we agreed to. And so we brought it here asking that council approve it, knowing that their next board meeting is March 2nd, what we've been invited to. And I'll let her explain, but my understanding, it's ready for adoption on their end. I may be wrong. I hope I'm right. But then we can go, so we can get the ground running. Ms. Stone, did I depict it pretty close?
Yes, no, you're correct.
Okay.
We have some discussion, but then, yes, we'll vote on it Monday.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, your first name?
Olivia.
Olivia Stone. Ms. Stone, I apologize. You are the marketing director for
Medina Healthcare System.
Medina Healthcare. That's what I thought. So that's what you do, is marketing. Okay. I'm sorry. That's my phone keeps going off. My watch is going off. I can't stop it. Tap it? Okay.
Oh, you're stuck.
Squeeze the side.
I
Nice
don't want to
squeeze.
answer my son.
Here.
I don't want to answer my son. Okay. Anyway, we're good. So I open the floor up for any discussions or motion or whatever it may do. I think Mr. Dixon has some comments that well, you see that in the staff reports.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I'm very supportive of the contract, of the concept of using these funds. So my real concern was whether or not everybody was ready for adoption tonight. But it's set for action. And
Well, there's a couple of items on there that I just want to make sure that everybody understands. And the first draft, I think that our attorney prepared this, had on there, had terms. And I asked, well, wait a minute, there's already terms in there where we can cancel it. Either party can. So let's just automatically move this and move on, because every year the chamber has to provide us a budget for the tourism. Then they have to provide us the accountability on how they spent the money. So it's working together in a partnership for that. We become a funding source and to work through these for the betterment of everybody. So, did I say that right too?
Do we need to change the website while we're at it?
There's mention of maintenance of the website.
Okay.
The visit CashvilleTX.gov website or .com website is actually maintained by CAEDC.
So it's not
It's
our
separate,
website.
It's not our website. It's a separate entity. You know, in the past, the city is from time to time will spend funds to update those websites.
Okay.
This council can decide to do or not.
Well, that was something I apologize. I wasn't aware of, and that didn't come out in our conversations.
and
I thought we had control over the
Well,
website.
and I thought, honestly, there have been a lot of discussion about establishing a separate website for that very reason.
Right.
I checked with Darren Ham this afternoon because we had some back and forth about that, and we don't have it. We talked about it, we never did it. So there isn't a website. So this would need to be altered to remove that requirement, and it really just focused on social media and video production, marketing.
But, Mr. Attorney, because this is promoting economic development, travel and tourism, we can use funds out of that to create that website. Okay? See? So that's another task, right?
So Mayor, to be clear, you don't want me to remove 5.3 business to the website. So we can add anything to that.
What I would suggest, because this is going to be a trial period for everybody involved, what I would recommend y'all do is look at maybe amending this down the road once we have some conversations through your liaison about what that would look like, if we're going to create a separate website or not. I'll be honest, I'm not. Having two websites may not be a great idea. As part of the reason
Confusion.
that Darren probably didn't do it is because it sends a mixed signal. So I think that's something that maybe needs a little bit more discussion between.
Do you have some ideas on that?
I would
agree that it would be more confusing because we do have one, but since they don't own it, and then we have our website for the chamber, which has a lot of the businesses on there already.
As long as it's separated out as far as a link to it, as far as travel and tourism, it could be used on their website, right?
We do have a link already to
Yeah.
Castroville TX on our website.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other questions on
Well,
this?
I think the question was, from the attorney, was whether we should remove 5.3. And the recommendation from staff is, go ahead and remove
Yes.
5.3. If you want to add it back at a future amendment, we could always do that. Or add something in place of that.
Well, what I would like us to do, and I'm just making a comment that the city owned the website, whichever it is, and then we can move with y'all or whatever the case may be. I don't know if that's
That'll
right.
have to be
thing
worked
do.
out.
Work that out.
With the economic development.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions concerning the agreement? I know you can't speak for your board, but I'm asking you as the president.
No, that was the main one, and then we had already talked about the sidewalk house. So
Okay.
So Mayor, the motion needs to be accepted for as is.
Okay.
Got it.
Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the resolution authorizing a contract for tourism and economic development, removing 5.3. Service between the city of Castroville and the Castroville Area Chamber of Commerce.
I'll second.
All right. Motion made, second to approve. Now we're going to open up for discussion. Mr. King?
Yeah, two questions. 6 months ago, you all had sent the chamber had sent an email or a letter to council saying that you did not advocate taking over tourism for Castroville because you all had you advocated for your members. It would be difficult for you to advocate for both the city and your members. And I'm just curious because I wasn't involved in this conversation. Has that been brought up, or why is there a change in opinion now?
was that the letter advocating for Darren Ham to stay here?
I think it was, and you all specifically said, it came from the chamber, and it specifically said that you disagreed because there was a suggestion that the chamber could take over Darren Ham's duty as tourism director, and you all did not feel that that was appropriate for the chamber because you all were advocating for your members, not for the city. And I'm just asking what changed from that.
Well, I can answer a little bit about that. We're not asking him to be a tourism director.
Well, no, but they are now in charge of tourism for this. So I guess you
Right.
all are asking, or what you're entering your contract with was something that the chamber 6 months ago, sent us a letter saying they did not advocate for that.
So we did advocate for Darren Ham. I will say that yes, we did advocate for him to stay, but he is gone, and so that leaves a hole in tourism, to, advertising and marketing for the city. And we are about the city of Castroville and our members and tourists. So because tourism doesn't just help people that aren't our members, it helps everyone, including our members. So now that there's a gap and we can fill it, and we've had several discussions about how that's going to work, we feel like we can fill that role.
Okay, and that answers that question. The other thing is, instead of this being an automatic, especially in these first years of us in this partnership, this is a really important thing. It's one thing like to have automatic renewals, kind of like the ball fields and everything else, and sometimes we forget about those. But if both parties physically have to come together 12 months from now, at least for the first couple of years, and say yes, it kind of forces everybody to live up to the rules and work harder and make sure that everything's going on other than just an automatic renewal. So I would be more in favor to go with at least the first year, maybe 2 years, where it actually physically has to be renewed, not just it's you vote to terminate.
Okay, and I can understand that. I just want to one more time explain why I did that is they have to report to us their budget. They have to report to us their expenditures. And at any time things are not done according to the rules, those are not our rules, these are the state rules that we're required to follow, we terminate. So there are protections in there that ensures that they have to do certain things to maintain the agreement. So I understand that.
Well, I understand
but I
what
respect
you're saying, and it's not so much that it's not that I don't trust them.
Sure.
It's just that communication between what we expect as a city and what they expect as a chamber, and the only way to really understand the fact that you're meeting city council's expectations, because they can follow the rules, but then they're missing what we think we want them to bring to the board. And the only way to actually do that is sit down 12 months from now and say, okay, we've gone through this honeymoon. This is what we don't agree.
I will remind you though. One of the actions y'all have already taken is to appoint a liaison.
Yes.
And I think that should alleviate some of those concerns and issues, because you've got a liaison, just like we get regular reports now on the other boards as y'all just participated in. Ideally, he's going to have the opportunity to do that. Now, we did talk about whether or not the liaison is going to be allowed to be in your board meetings.
So we did discuss that,
Yeah.
and there will be, at the beginning of every meeting, the board has already agreed that at the beginning of every meeting, he can be there. So if we have any questions or y'all have any comments.
Wonderful. As a non-voting member, to be able to be at least an opportunity to share information that there may be.
And maybe not sit in on the full board meetings when I'm hearing,
Right.
but at the beginning of each meeting. So,
But he'll get the agenda and he'll know what y'all are talking about in case there's a problem.
Would there be a reason not to hang on the board?
Well, it's
The city of Castroville is a member of the chamber, and the city of Castroville is not. I don't want to say I want to be, but that would be a decision of the full chamber. I told them, my personal opinion, we don't have to have a front seat. We just want to help provide funding and get things done to support the city. Okay, and support the chamber. I don't know. That's down the road.
Well, in some respects, we're providing a substantial income to them. To me, to have someone there at the full board meeting on their board, that our liaison being on their board would make a lot of sense.
So the account is going to be separate. We are going to keep everything separate from our chamber. And that's why he's invited to the first part of the meeting, because everything that has anything to do with hot funds will be discussed with him. But any chamber related activity is for our board members.
Right.
I guess my background, I should explain this. I love the chamber. I support them, everything. But I do know about 10 years ago, there was a falling out between the chamber and the city on this hot fund tax, and the chamber doing exactly what you all, or what the the suggestion is now. And I guess, so part of this is just my awareness of what had happened back then, and that the idea is that we do want to move forward in a totally open and a partnership, true partnership. And that's, but I'm only one member of this council.
And we do too. That's what we want that as well. And that's why we're going to do everything according to state regulations. We're going to keep the account separate, and anything that has to do with hot funds will run through y'all, and anything that has to do with our chamber members will be completely separate.
We also talked about, just so you know, and it's in the agreement, the other events, they're not hot tub, but for example, 4th of July, wine festival, things like that. We still will continue to help with those projects because they're outside of this. So it's not like we're walking away from everything, but we're going to use the chamber folks as a resource. So we don't have to be in the front. Mr. Murs, Councilman Murs, did you have a question?
No, sir.
Councilman Lee.
Yes, and who knows, we might even put the banner up for free if you're getting money from us for tourism.
Thank you.
I have I've been a proponent of the chamber being, and I will say, more involved in tourism because you've always been involved in tourism. The pamphlet we put out at great expense is basically a tourist document. Okay, and y'all carry the brochures. The city has some about promoting Castroville. So, and I know when we talked about Mr. Ham's position on the budget, I went on to the National Chamber of Commerce website, and by golly, tourism is one of their functions along with economic development because it's a benefit to the city and the chamber members and the community. So I'm in support of doing this, but I don't think we're ready quite yet. And I would like to see a presentation from the chamber of exactly what they're now doing with tourism, what they're spending on it, and what they plan to do with this money. Okay, if it takes one more month to approve this, it doesn't matter. We're not in a rush. Nothing, Earth's not going to, well, the Earth might fall in. And so I want to see specifics, and I want to see them in writing in the agreement. And right now, there's still some yet to be resolved issues in the agreement because you still got to meet with your people. Then it says the staff and the mayor will get involved and do this, that, and the other. That's great, but before I would agree to anything, I want to see every detail in here, and I want to hear from you guys specifically how you plan to spend this money, the capabilities of the people that are going to do some portion of this. Do you need more space? So forth and so on. I don't know what's going to happen to the Steinbach House because we now use that for tourism promotion, and I need an answer to that. And because the city is involved in tourism material itself. And so are you going to take over that responsibility? I don't know.
No, we were very clear on that because the previous agreement with the Castroville Area Economic Development Council, that's when it was housed in the Steinbach House. And that was one of the first things we talked about the requirements to maintain that. And my opinion, it's an absolute no. That's a city-owned facility. The chamber doesn't house that. The chamber should not be held accountable for that. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Can we add that to the agreement?
Okay. Well, my point is, there's nothing in here, Mayor. There's nothing in here about that from staff or anybody else. But it's an issue that needs to be discussed. Okay. We need to know what's going to happen there. Are we going to continue to put somebody in there? So to me, this is incomplete, and I've come to the point that I don't like to sign incomplete things. Everything needs to be plainly presented in all the specifics because then it leaves room for interpretation. I don't like interpretation. I agree with Councilman King that this should be annually reviewed. There's a difference between getting a report on how we're doing and who we've contacted versus causing council to think through how does this work for us? Yeah, I've seen what they've done. There's something we want to do different. And council needs to be acutely aware of what they're committing funds to and bringing this up besides the reviews to grapple with, is this working for us? Do we want to make some changes? I think it needs to come back annually for review.
And we agree.
Okay. And as far as having someone for council on the board, I think that's a very bad idea because we deal with financial issues to do with the chamber now, and to have a member of council involved in a body that receives money from the city sounds like a very bad legal conflict to me. Anyway, so want to see a presentation from you guys with specifics about what you're doing with tourism now and how you plan to spend all the details, how you plan to spend the $75,000. And maybe 75 isn't enough for you to do a complete job, or maybe it's too much. I don't know. And so I want to do this, but until I see specifics in print and hear from you guys on specifics, I will not approve of it.
Ms. Stone, did you have, is those your board members back there?
Do you mind if she says?
No, ma'am, I don't. Please, if you have something to add to this conversation.
My name's Ruby. I'm the vice president of the chamber. Mr. King and Mr. Lee, we wholeheartedly agree as well, because it goes both sides. Because I will say, part of the board, even though the majority are in favor, there are still some people that feel, well, what if this doesn't align with our mission? So we also would like to do an annual review to see if this works on both ends. And maybe, like you said, it is a 2-year, just to give us time. The first year is going to be a little rocky, because we need to get our feet soaked as well. But, since this city came to us, it was a big shock at first, because we just thought this was something that you guys wanted to pawn off on us. However, this is going to be such a great partnership, and I just wanted to say that across the board. So yes, I also feel that, if it doesn't work out for you guys, there's no harm, and if it doesn't work out for us, there's no harm either. But we are in it together.
So you're good for an annual renewal and review and renewal?
Absolutely.
Okay, we can make that change.
I mean, we obviously need the board to vote.
I understand.
That's what I wanted to say.
I understand, but yeah, I told you earlier, it's kind of like when we're talking, I don't have the vote, but I believe I'm representing.
Yes. And everybody's, it's exciting.
Sure.
It's new and it's different for us as well. So what can we do to plan out the measures that's going to not only help us, our members, the city, and tourism?
The partnership.
Let's bring more money in. That's the whole thing.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Can you make that change? Change that to an annual. Okay. Well,
And then, so that it makes everybody feel comfortable, can we put in there that we are not responsible? I know it doesn't say that we are, but can we add that we're not responsible?
for the Steinbach house, the maintenance and upkeep of the Steinbach
Because,
house?
I mean, he's questioning it, and that it was a big concern for
Right.
the board, as you know.
Yes, ma'am.
So if it says in there that we're not, we're going to be responsible.
Okay.
I'm also in favor of Lee's suggestion that maybe instead of rushing this through is let this thing iron out. We can vote on it next time, but it would also be nice to have a presentation where they can tell us what their expectations are, and after their board gets together, what services they're going to provide, how they're going to do it, and then we can tell them, yes, we like this plan, or no, that's not kind of what we're talking about, and then we formally vote on this next time. That's just my suggestion in support of that.
Okay. Is there any other conversation?
Yeah, you have you have a motion and a second to approve the contract as is, removing 5.3. Do they need to amend their motion?
And amend it to make it an annual renewal.
Can we rescind our?
Yeah, you just have to be amenable to them. You can either rescind or you can be amenable to a change. You can alter those.
We don't want to vote now. We want to delay it,
Yeah, so here's my motion.
and I'll rescind my second.
Okay, so rescind everything like nothing's been done. Got it. Okay, do I hear? All right. Do I hear any other motions? Like a motion to bring this back, to continue to work with the chamber on this and bring this back to next council meeting for a presentation.
We need a motion for that?
You don't need a motion for that, but one of the things that I think would
I
be
wanna-
good is just consensus on the
Okay.
terms. Is everybody
Yeah,
agreeable? with
I
the
want to
terms?
make sure that everybody's consistent on the terms, because we want to make this, I'm sorry, we want to get this resolved. We don't want to come back and says, oh, wait, by the way, oh, wait, by the way. So we
Yeah.
want a consensus on the terms so we can go out and meet with them on a second. We say, these are the things the city council here's the final draft, so to speak, from city council.
And when's the next city council meeting?
The 10th,
10th of March.
the 10th. Yes, ma'am? Yes, ma'am?
So the second meeting in March.
Second meeting in March.
What about the second meeting in March?
24th.
The
24th? Oh, you're gonna make me wait? Okay, all right, that's fine.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Does the rest of the council agree with what Councilman Lee and I were talking about as far as a little bit of feedback at that time that tell us what their plan is?
I agree with your reservations and suggestions.
Okay, we'll work on that. And I know, Mr. Marchand will work on that with you guys as a liaison, so we can come back and make everybody happy and work together. Okay, so we can move forward with a great partnership. Ms. Stone, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. Folks, thank you all very much. Okay, we're going to get there. It just takes a little bit. You're welcome.
Hey, how you doing? I didn't see you back there. Okay.
All right.
Another board member.
Yeah, those are all 4 board members. Let's move on to item B, discussion and possible action to establish a committee to evaluate the City Hall Steinbach House display structure at the Steinbach House. Mr. Lee.
I've heard of him.
Mr. Lee has, Ms. Garrett, you want to speak on this. You want to hold off or you want to?
I can pull up your pictures if you like.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you really quick while they're loading this up. Councilman Lee has done his due diligence inspecting it. There's some decayed wood and some what appears to be some maintenance issues on that house. Okay. Now,
Would you go to the podium, please, or get a mic?
You have to come up.
While she's doing it, I have a question.
Yeah.
The display structure, is that the
Just the
bullhorn?
picture.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's the other accessory building there.
Priscilla, you gotta come to the microphone.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to point out really quick. One thing I wanted to point out real quick before I turn this over to Councilman Lee. We were advised earlier during the CIP meeting that the house or the Steinbach house, there's $12,672 in the fund, and that could possibly use for maintenance. So there's funds there, or maybe other funds for the city because the city to take care of it. But I just wanted to point that out.
Will you
Yeah,
let people know where that money comes from, please?
Yeah, we already said that in there. That it
House
comes from
station, house program.
tourisms and visits, and you do them.
It comes
Yeah,
from
donations.
Donations and my tour.
That's right.
Or tour.
That's correct.
But that amount is wrong. It's going to be less because we have something coming that's being
Okay.
put out there. Just to
Councilman,
let you know.
Can I
Councilman,
just real quick, in light of Ms. Garrett's exceptional experience and relevant knowledge to this topic, I'd like to dispel the regular rules of order to allow her to interact with City Council throughout this item.
yes, sir.
Well, I know, but that
Oh,
doesn't
but you're good.
automatically let her ask questions and go back and forth.
Yeah, you think I'm going to be the mean guy and say no?
You've done it before.
I have.
To your own voters.
Yeah, to my own people. Yes. Okay.
Mayor Alexander, may I go back so I can see it? I can't see it.
Well, I need to hear you on a
These
microphone.
are just pictures that Councilman Lee took. And
These are the pictures of the
I'll
house.
let you know. Look, right now, the ones that are up.
But I don't speak up. Okay, Councilman Lee, please.
I don't know that I need to talk. Everybody else seems to be chiming in on my item. Anyway, did
Yeah.
all of you get an opportunity to go?
Can you take
I'll wait till the mayor's done.
Yes, Mike.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm trying to get
No,
her a
that's all right.
microphone so she can. You can go back that way if you want.
There's too many people talking.
The pictures
Priscilla,
are in their-
You can go back there with a microphone as long as you talk in the microphone. Please, ma'am.
Okay. Are we ready now?
Thank you.
Let the minutes reflect Priscilla just hit Jonah in the shoulder.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, Mr.
Okay,
Lee.
are we ready now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, a question. Did all of council have an opportunity to look at the windows and doors in this building and to look at the Steinbach house and the pole barn and the back of the lot for the next agenda item?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. How about Ms. Martinez?
I saw around this building, me hiking isn't an option.
I'm very familiar with.
Okay.
Right now.
Okay. Well, some of the pictures in the packet are hard to see. And some of these would relate to that particular picture really goes with the next agenda item. And not this one, but
Well, this one's City Hall. Are we doing City Hall?
yeah, City Hall, Steinbach House, accessory building. Okay, in a nutshell, you all read the package. Hopefully you looked at the pictures. They're in a state of, in some cases, worse than the streets, and they need attention desperately. We spent a considerable amount of money on this building during my time in a subsequent administration on having those things rebuilt and painted. And they are in dire need of work, or we're going to spend more and more and more to have them rebuilt again. And so we need to have that mindset we talked about on streets. Let's get it like it's supposed to be, and let's keep it like it's supposed to be. And so you've all seen this building on the outside. You see me bring pieces of the window pane in and display them before council. On the Steinbach house, we have spent money before to replace some of the portions of the lower beams because they rotted out. Is that wood a good match with Castroville's weather? No, it does not appear to be. However, when we accepted that facility, we accepted the responsibility to keep it in a good serviceable condition. And so it has deteriorated significantly. Can you go back to the Steinbach house, please?
That's what I was trying to find. These are all of City Hall.
No, they're all.
No, it was at
Okay, stop right there. Back up one.
That one.
Okay, there's a for instance, and hopefully in your package or online you can see. There's one of the windows in the. Actually, that's City Hall.
At City Hall.
Yeah, keep going.
I think in your packet.
Okay, all right. While you're looking.
Yeah.
I think it's your fourth tab.
Oh, here. There's another tab.
Is
There
it
is another.
is it okay if I keep the floor?
That's the
Yes.
wagon.
Wagon barn.
There should be City Hall too. Or,
I'm going to get sick if you don't stop flipping those so
There we
fast.
go.
Okay. You've seen this building. You've seen the condition of our windows, and they're failing. They're rotting, and here's a perfect example of the southern exposure and the weather. And in the case of the City Hall and the Steinbach house, the door that you go into to visit those facilities is in definite need of care, as are all the beams, the lower beams, the cross beams, the windows, and everything else. There's a significant number of holes, voids, dried wood that's got turned into little checkered spots, and so forth. So I'd love to belabor it, but I think you've seen enough to know that we've got a serious problem there, and it's not going to fix itself, and we can't put it off any longer. We have a responsibility to maintain it. And so my recommendation was we have a committee of 2 council members and historic preservation officer or someone appropriate, someone from the Historic Landmark Commission and any others deemed necessary to go take a look at these, see what we need to do now in order to put these structures back in the condition that they need to be in, and a plan to maintain them into the future. That's all I have to say on these 2. And so I guess it's open for discussion or whatever. Miss Garrett, did you want to make some comments now on this?
well, I think it's been, 3 years that we did this?
Do you feel these
Turn it on.
facilities need maintenance? I understand that.
And it's,
That's how long?
year, no, you need to come up front.
The computer can't hear you.
Places inside that are affected more than at the outside. And yes, the outside does need care.
That's the agenda item, the outside.
It was repainted 8 years ago, something like
I
that.
don't even think it's been that long, has it? Because we had the gentleman come in from San Antonio that we hired that did historic.
It's been about 7 years, repainted the outside. But yes, talking about the outside, there are places still, but it's been that way since it was built. I mean, this isn't a building that's going to be built that was built like buildings are built right now. Okay, there are some significant places where it leaks water when it rains. If it rains, leaks significantly into the house, especially on the back side. Now, I don't know if it's because that's the south side, it gets the most heat all the time, but that I think is where most of the help is needed, is on the back side. Because
The south side?
the south, no,
Yes, Mr.
the south, no.
I'd like to
The
make,
south side or the
just
west
to,
side?
The west side.
I agree with Priscilla. To make this, I would make a motion that council appoint a committee to evaluate the Steinbach house with its attached pole barn. I'm not going to include city council in that because city hall in that because we're already have an architect looking at this, but that we approve that we establish a committee to go look at that and then to report back to the council within before the end of April, and I would also volunteer to be on that committee. So anyway, I'll make the motion for the committee first.
So, sorry, what was the makeup of the committee?
Well, it's two council people
And
and our historic preservation officer, who is Selena. Forget her last name.
But why don't you drag this out? I mean,
No, it's to go and look at what really needs to be repaired.
I understand, but we tend to drag things out, and Priscilla is extremely,
Well, she's going to be on the committee with it. Okay.
is that, why would we, I mean, because maybe you're working on the houses you did, you haven't, you know what I mean? Why don't we just get somebody that knows what they're doing, and Priscilla wants, we're happy to go with you, but, yeah, a contractor can fix it. I don't understand why we're gonna go over.
Well, I'll tell you why. Right now, nothing is happening on this building or that building, and they may come back and say, we need to get a professional in here to do this, that, or the other. You know, it mocks it to me, but
I think you could already say that.
Yeah,
Okay,
previously
all
we
right,
just
well,
brought a
whatever.
contract to the
The
council
committee
previously.
can come back with recommendations on, but I would not cut out City Hall because right now I don't think there's a nickel being programmed to be spent immediately on the condition of these windows. So I would prefer not to separate those out personally.
On the two buildings of the Steinbach house, who built the accessory building?
I did with other volunteers.
There's a list of volunteers.
It's the wagon house.
If you ever visited, there's a list of the volunteers who built.
Okay, but they were built by
Volunteers.
us, for lack of a better phrase.
But
The other house was built, windows and all, everything by the Alsatians
Exactly,
that came here.
yes.
So, right,
That's
I
fine.
was very there. I
Except for-
ran the crane to put it all
except for
together.
Brick and mortar, the brick and mortar came from the houses.
There's the Hannes tiles behind it.
That's good right
That's
Tiles are
right.
in the walls.
That's
Except
correct.
for one wall,
One wall's open on the inside, that's on the front porch.
and when the rain, and that's one of the biggest places the rain came in, and the
Okay.
last time we had a big rain, it melted and there was mud in the corner.
Okay, I got it.
So that's on the north side.
Does the
Problem
roof,
on the
does the
north
roof leak?
I don't think there's
think it's
some
the way it
broken
blows in.
tiles up there, yes.
Coming down the walls?
These are details not in the motion.
No, I understand. I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree that someone needs to look at it and determine what we need to do.
Okay, the motion is working one structure at a time. That's the Steinbach house with the company and pole barn be evaluated. And I make that motion to see if we get a second, then I'll explain why I think it's important for us to do it.
I'll second.
Motion made second to establish a committee to review these two structures, the Steinbach house for maintenance repair activities.
And the reason is, Houston, I would tend to agree with you, except when we've hired professionals to come in, like you say, you've rebuilt, I've rebuilt, we know it may be that we simply say, oh, you need to replace a window, and we can make that recommendation to council. To get an architect to come in, you're talking, I don't think anybody would touch it for less than $30,000-$40,000 minimum.
but I'm not comfortable on that structure, even though we have two of them.
On the Steinbach house?
Yeah.
Well, let's go talk about it and see. We might come back and say, man, we're uncomfortable. We'll see, but if you don't feel comfortable on the committee. But
Well, I wasn't saying that, I'm just saying that thing is 600 years old.
Yeah.
it's
So maybe
probably no better than your house was.
Well, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, why do we have to go,
Rebuild.
yeah, we need to go get somebody. It seems like we need to go get somebody.
Then make that a
Well, we do, and that may be the outcome of the
Because we're still gonna spend 30,000 whether we do it now or do it later.
No, we might just decide that, like, again, when they replaced the beam years ago, that was something the city said. I'm sorry. Go for it, Mary.
Excuse me.
Control the meeting there.
I just want to say, I like the idea of establishing a committee with 2 members of council, especially since we have 2 members of council with restoration experience, just because it maximizes the chance that when a recommendation to spend money comes back to council, it's an amount that will get through and get passed.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? Okay, we have a motion. Did we get a second for the motion?
Yes.
We got a motion and a second to establish a 2-person city council committee. I have 1 volunteer.
And the HPO.
And the HPO. I have 1 volunteer, which is Councilman King, and another councilman, Marksman, will volunteer for this committee. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Bring in the HPO, you do have the funding for that, right?
Oh, we can always find the funding.
Okay,
She'll
Okay.
charge us.
because she's gonna
Yeah.
cost you.
Okay, my recommendation was 2 council persons,
I don't know.
somebody from HLC who's responsible for restoring stuff in the
Yes,
city of
yes,
Castroville,
yes.
and the HPO and any others as deemed necessary. And I don't understand why you would cut the city hall out of that, because right now, there is 0 plans on the book to do anything at city hall right now. None.
Well-
But it's in dire need of help. It's
So-
our face to the community.
And I agree to that, excuse me, just saying, but I can't have more than 2 council members because that would be a violation of the Meetings Act. But I can participate with the, but I'll probably leave it to these 2.
I think he's just saying to have them see the 3rd building, not to put a 3rd council member.
We'll vote on this,
City
and we'll
Hall.
vote on, see if anybody wants to bring up this.
Okay. Motion and second.
And by the
to
way,
do
my motion did include the 2 council people, but we plan to include Selena and also representation from the Historic Landmark.
Absolutely. Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
They,
Okay, good. Now let's move on. I'm sorry, motion carried. Let's move on to City Hall. There's a question concerning that. Did we want to address that one also?
What was that, C?
City Hall.
C?
Yeah.
You're talking about
We
City
split
Hall.
the first one in half.
City Hall was part of the same agenda item.
Yeah.
It's part of the
let's
same agenda
be
item.
clear, we're on the same agenda item, and
Yes.
the mayor's asking for a separate motion on the same agenda item, which you can do. You can have more than one
Right.
motion on an item.
So if there's a separate motion to address City Hall, a committee for that, or I mean, I don't know, or is that part of what they're looking at? And in the meantime, Mr. Lee has brought up some maintenance issues here. So how do we address that?
If someone makes a motion. That's right.
Okay.
But-
Make a motion.
But wait.
May I?
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, it is.
We're already gonna be discussing it.
Yes,
Money towards it,
one
Maybe
way or the other.
one way or the other.
make a decision on that later, yes.
Okay,
If someone makes a motion,
I
Seconds.
had a question for staff, actually. Do we have any contracts out looking at the modifications to City Hall? Or requests for proposals or something like that?
No, what y'all did was a design build. So you've already approved design build. You have a contractor.
Okay. And
And an
they're
architect.
working on what those,
Yeah, they've presented to you 2 proposals. One is the one with the extension and one without, and that's what's in your CIP.
okay. So if we made a decision between those 2 options later in the resumed CIP meeting, that could start.
The ball rolling on this. It's another reason why like the city hall roof hasn't been addressed, just because the intent was to include that in the new project, if that was going to move forward or not. And we're still trying to figure that out.
David, I would say that the ball's already rolling because
Okay.
they've already been given a contract. It's set.
Okay.
yes, sir.
I think everybody on this council is interested in historic preservation.
Yes, sir.
We have a historic structure here. It needs some preservation now. If you're carburetor's running low on oil, you just let it go until it fails. Take the necessary steps to keep it serviceable. The windows and the doors were in need of care 3 years ago. Okay, if you don't do something about this tonight, we will see it again on the agenda item next week, or the next meeting. It's already back again. We need to do something now. Now, the city administrator could in-house take care of the windows immediately. It's gonna be maintenance. But
Mayor,
you'll see it again and again until we get some action.
If someone wants to make I would respectfully request, Bob, if you want this move forward, you need to make a motion and see if people will support you.
Okay, I'll step back and step forward. What is it you're asking?
What motion do you want?
You need to make a motion on this.
For City Hall.
All right, I'm too stupid to understand. I brought an agenda item that covered all three of these structures. Y'all decided to separate out City Hall. I'm telling you, we need to address City Hall.
Yeah, so make a motion related to City Hall right
You
now.
want us to do maintenance on the windows, or what's your motion?
Let's see if somebody else wants to.
I actually,
Ladies and
no,
gentlemen, we're gonna support the motion.
I'd like
So-
to make a motion to create a committee, or actually to extend the purview of the aforementioned committee to also make recommendations on City Hall.
Second.
the motion and a second to include City Hall in the committee's charge to look at the Steinbach House and over there. City Hall for the windows and doors maintenance. Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on the CIP thing that we're gonna go back to when we get through this part, we have money up there for City Hall. Wouldn't that cover windows and stuff like that?
Well, it depends on what, again, it depends on what gets allocated. One of the, y'all haven't determined how much. If it's $500,000, then y'all have to decide what that covers, right? But it could cover the windows and doors.
Okay,
I think the question, and I don't want to put words in Mr. Lee's mouth, but why not, right? But I believe that it's still undetermined when that's going to be done, but yet he's asking that the maintenance be taken care of now. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. That's the difference,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Sorry, just one other.
Yes, sir.
So, for example, the recommendation of the committee could be to sand all the flaking old paint off and put a new layer of paint on.
It could be whatever their recommendation is.
If not sufficient, at least in the right direction from your point of view.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to include City Hall and the committee that's going to be looking at the Steinbach House and associated building. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's move on to item C, which is discussion of possible action to authorize cleanup, installation of a safety fence along the back of Steinbach House property. Before Councilman Lee brings this up, I'm going to make my comment to it that I believe this is a safety and maintenance issue that doesn't require city council action. Mr. Lee.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it's been brought up over and over. And this is an issue this time from Miss Garrett because she spends the most time there. If you looked at the pictures, there is almost an unobservable path to fall off down to the creek bed level. You know, and it's also quite dirty back there. Some's the state's, some's ours. But they used to be very lovely back there. It was clean. You could walk down to the riverbed and everything else. We need to take care of it. It's our responsibility. And so right there, see that picture?
It's hard to tell, but there's a
Yeah, the red line is okay. You step over the red line, you're going to take about a 12, 15-foot plunge. Well, if you have never been in a car wreck that needed a seatbelt, don't wear your seatbelt.
That's the old bridge abutments from the original highway. Let me ask you a question. Does the Steinbach House property fall under the facilities of the parks?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So, Mr. Park Director, you're not taking care of your property.
Well,
I'm just making a general statement.
Yeah, can I just say that so Priscilla approached us about
Maybe
the same
that's
time. No one ever asked us whether you're going to put something on the agenda. You just put it on there. But I'm not talking about you. I just, this item ended up on the agenda. Simultaneous to this item ending on the agenda, Jonah and I had a conversation about where that fence should go. It's a minimal investment on our part. Doesn't require really allocation by city council. What we're looking at is split rail fence. Now, there is some discussion that we probably need to have with Priscilla about where that fence goes. I don't think it needs. What I would recommend for a safety perspective is not to clear all that land, and because what they're going to do is clear all the brush, and basically allow people to walk all the way up to the edge, and put the fence kind of in a jig-jog fashion. And what I would recommend is no, you ought to just put a fence straight across the back before the drainage culvert that's there, and put a sign up that basically says, not a pedestrian area or not safe or something else, because you don't really want to encourage people to walk in that area, in my opinion. That's what the bridge walk is. You can go up the bridge and look over, but to encourage people to walk that direction probably is not a good idea.
Long term, I would almost encourage 2 fences, one up high and one down low, because nobody should be on that property. It's just
Well, and with our
it's a
insurance,
hazard waiting to happen.
One of the problems with the north side of that is look at the house and it sits in it, the butts highway. How far down is that? Does the state have, because if you walk straight from the culvert down to look at the river, it's a 20-foot drop even when there's water in the river.
Yes, ma'am.
It's farther down. When the most people that go back there are coming to fish, and they go all the way down by the bridge and they walk down there,
They cross
and
under.
then they cross under because they're above the dam and they can get to the river. You can't get to the river.
There's no river down below the dam
Huh?
today.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Now it's 30-foot drop because there's no river. But that you can get down to the river, but I don't know if you can fence that because it's state property. I mean, that's where the state comes in. How
We're
far
gonna-
down?
Signage will fix it.
well, we have to have signage because of our insurance, and
I understand
Janelle's
that.
aware of it.
I do.
So we
I
do
do.
have to have.
I do.
I've already
But
talked
I
with
don't
them.
think you can prevent them unless the state's gonna let you fence all the way there, to keep you from going all the way.
Yeah, so the fence wouldn't go up the hillside. The idea is it would go and terminate right where she's talking about that walking path is.
All right.
You'd still get past that if you really wanted to, but we would put a fence across the back.
That
Okay.
would help our liability.
Yes,
If
because we do.
But
Jonah, I don't want you to take offense what I said. I just think it
Oh, no,
it should be taken care of.
not at all, and I agree. I think the thing is that we had to maintain everything before that.
Yes, sir.
We didn't know that we were to maintain all that stuff back there. So, kind of talking to Scott and seeing how some of those trees have fallen, we are going to proactively go ahead and remove some of that stuff and chip it. But where does that fence go is going to be.
Well,
I
what
know
they-
I
what they
know you've
talked
been
about
working
clearing
on
it.
other
I don't
parts
think
of the
it's been
property.
cleared.
It's just a maintenance and it's a liability.
Absolutely,
issue.
no, and I think what has really helped actually is keeping that wilderness there.
Yes, sir.
Because people don't go into that unless they really want to. And whether we put up 1 fence, 2 fence, people are going to find a way to get back there if they really want to.
All we can do is do the best we
Liability,
can.
right?
Mhm.
Shut the-
Yes.
Right,
it will.
but so if you put the
Mayor.
fence up, if
Sir.
you put a sign up, you've met your requirement.
Yes, sir.
Back in the day when you could actually walk down close, the view is quite nice over to the Landmark Inn and the river when the water's going, and it's definitely worth going to see. And to leave it so it looks like, tumbleweeds blew in there and set up camp is not a good idea. I would prefer that we leave it looking clean and respectable, even if we fence it with warning signs like we do with the river in the regional park. You can go in here at your own risk. Okay, at least we have warned them and we've put some barriers to discourage random crossing. But, I used to go fly fishing down there and I went down that way.
I don't know, would the state even let you put a fence all the way to the highway?
I don't either, but we could put a sign down next to that area. I would leave it to the park board to decide, or the park department to decide, talking with you, of course, where the fence and the signage goes. But I think we've all agreed that something needs to happen there, and that's all that I'm asking. Happen. Something happen.
A question, Joe. Did you ever figure out on the pool, are you gonna have, or we have to replace the fence over there or not?
We will have to replace the portion.
So we could use that fence, which is commercial grade chain link
Yes,
fence,
yes,
behind
yes.
this as a suggestion.
Yes. Yes.
And the other thing is that, Priscilla, you're correct. There's a quite a bit of difference between the Steinbach property and the highway that's below. So we can't fence their property, that's up to them. But you could put signs there, but people will still be able to get down to the river on the other side because there's plenty of property there if you look at the maps. But yes, it makes sense. Bob, I totally agree with you. This ought to be, to me, if you go to Kerrville and you look at that overlook over the historic Kerrville that looks out over the river and down below, it's beautiful, and that's what we need to do. We just don't have the $250,000 to do it now. So I think if we put this fence up for a safety thing temporarily, when we do get ahead of the game, I think that's another project that we need to think about.
Do we need any action?
Actually,
Yes, sir.
may I?
Yes, sir.
So could we request TxDOT permission to put a fence there, and then we just keep a key at the Steinbach house so they can get it?
Well, it's not. This is a foot rail fence, is what we're planning,
Okay.
and I'll have to look at where our boundary is on that.
Just
north
because, like, if we ask them and they say, yeah, that's no problem from our point of view, just let us through, then, you know, it wouldn't be that hard to make it.
Would somebody like to make a motion, or is this just a maintenance issue?
I support a fence and signage, and I wouldn't mind necessarily clearing like maybe one particular spot to look across. But in general, I think that clearing a lot of that land would just increase the maintenance workload for the parks on an area we don't really want people anyway. And clearing down trees and stuff, it does make it look nicer, but it also increases erosion there. And since there's already a big drop and we have erosion concerns elsewhere in that area, I feel like we probably shouldn't create new erosion concerns for no reason.
Because you've already got big problems on the south side. That Steinbach house in the arms. That problem.
Okay, are we going to, what are we going to do?
First, make a motion so it's an official action by the council to address the issue.
Please make a motion then.
Well, I don't think there's a motion on here.
Well, he
Is
can
there?
make one.
Well, there it is,
Make one up.
recommended motion.
Well,
Make a motion.
no, it just,
Was it for
I'm sorry,
discussion and
that's-
possible action?
let me look and see if it says action.
Everything.
It does say action, discussion and possible action.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the agenda report.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we clean up the Steinbach house property, install safety fencing and signage along the rear of the Steinbach house lot over the Medina River.
Motion made. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second to clean up the property and install fencing down there on that property. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move fairly quickly, hopefully, with the next several items. As discussed, some of these items we have broad stroke discussed during our CIP. Some of them we haven't, we will discuss. But these are several, and I'm just going to group them together because I'm going to say this, and then I'll read them off individually. Some of these are projects that maybe we've talked about. I'm trying to help Scott, try to help everybody to try to move things forward. And a lot of these are not necessarily approving the projects except for the first one, but a lot of them are asking to come back with a plan of action to do them so we can move on. So let's start with the first one, discussion, possible action, discussion, appropriate action, identify and fund street and drainage maintenance projects. You understand, identify. So, and I'm not talking about brand new drainage, I'm talking about maintenance. Like the bar ditches on Houston Street, that there's concrete culverts were installed in 1921. So they're already set there. So you got to go back and just take the road grader and clean out the ditch. You know how much drainage help that's done? Just by simple maintenance. Silt lines on the road, I know I talked about them last year, and reshaping bar ditches back to what they originally were. It doesn't take a lot to do that if you're just going back and maintaining what there are. No, I'm not talking about Athens Street, a major drainage project. Or I'm not talking about, I don't know, Maple Street or anybody else. I'm just talking about maintenance that the city has been lacking, not because of not the willingness to do it, maybe because staffing, maybe because funding, maybe because of direction. That's all I'm proposing is to basically move it off and get it moving, even if it requires additional staff or rental equipment.
I'd like to make a motion to direct staff through the city administrator to perform street and drainage maintenance to include cleaning of street edges and bargages on city streets to accommodate the efficient drainage of water table.
I'll second.
Motion made and second to proceed with authorize staff through the city administrator to identify and perform drainage maintenance projects throughout the city. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes.
We can make this instruction, but I don't think it can be done without hiring new staff, hiring a contractor, or pulling staff away from Geneva, Athens area, or the wastewater treatment ponds. Is that broadly correct, Mr. Dixon?
Well, what I would do with this motion, the way it's been made, I would get with my staff and talk about a time frame and identify actual, like, here are the bardages that we've targeted for maintenance. This is when we're going to be able to get them, and bring them back to you and say, because it is an issue. 100% resources are an issue. We've had a real challenge with staffing over the last about 18 months in the streets department specifically. Daniel's been single-handedly doing a lot of stuff at different times, and so that's what I would do with it. Bring it back, and then y'all would tell me that's not acceptable. We want to do this sooner, and I'd say, okay, then we need to probably look at hiring temporary help or something like that.
And that was the goal of this objective, is to just move it forward, and then we can go from there. Yeah.
So I do have a few more comments, which is that I think ultimately the way to handle this is to hire more staff, in order so that we can move this into the operational budget and make this something that's happening continuously, because ditches fill up continuously. I think it would be beneficial to have a sort of cyclic 10 to 20 year plan where we're getting all these taken care of, and also make sure that new areas of the city are being added to this plan as infrastructure is dedicated. I don't think that plan needs to be a prerequisite for getting the full forever plan needs to be a prerequisite to get started. But I do also think that we should make sure that the funding for this program is getting added to the budget in the next budget cycle, which I realize I won't be part of, but hopefully I can convince the rest of you.
Sure.
Is that it?
That's it.
Lee?
Yes, sir. The curbs along Highway 90 and some of the side streets and turnoffs, many of them are overgrown with grass between the paved area and the curbside. And there also was a time that we contracted to have someone come in with a street sweeper, at least once a year to do some of the major areas to clean those up. But a number of the areas that have curbs with grass growing, and a bevel down to the street are the responsibilities of the businesses that are adjacent to those. Getting them to maintain those is something worth looking into. However, whether they do them or not, how the city looks with its main thoroughfare impacts people's vision of the city taking care of its business.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to add that I got it. I understand there's a lot of moving parts to this, but a lot of times in the simple maintenance activities that I'm talking about, cleaning silt lines, you're going to do them anyway as part of your paving project, because you're not going to pave a road. You're not going to properly overlay a road without blading the edge of the road off. So they go hand in hand and working together. Okay. Any comment?
If nobody else has anything, I have one more.
Do you have a comment? Mr. Marchman? Ms. Martinez?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to underline that I recognize that in Castroville we have an ordinance saying that you have to maintain the public right-of-way for a certain distance away from your property line, maintain the grass, the weeds, clean stuff out. But ultimately that is a policy decision.
Sure.
And without draconian code enforcement, offloading maintenance to citizens and businesses is generally just going to result in it not getting done and the city looking worse. And it is something that could be done as part of the city's budget as well.
Understood.
You'd probably spend more on code enforcement getting people to do it than you would just doing it yourself.
Mr. King?
Yeah, there's two things. The streets in Country Village and River Bluff are different than the streets.
Yes.
Historic, the city owns the land up to the property line, up to the front fence line.
They're 10 feet
And-
beyond the curb, behind the curbs, generally.
Yeah, but in where we don't have the curbs in the old part.
Right.
So the city can't require citizens in the other sections of town. They can because the citizens own it, but the city has an easement, a public easement. So that's the only thing to be careful about. The city can't require people to do something that they don't do. Whereas in the two newer sections now, because the old section of town goes back to Spanish rule that Paul Carey gave us an instruction on some years ago. But I stand by Houston's motion.
Okay. We have a motion and second to proceed with this. Kind of staff brings, Scott
We'll
brings
put
something
together a
back.
plan and bring it back to council.
Okay.
Should I give you a time frame?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. The next item is discussion and appropriate action identify and fund street paving projects. Same thing. Whether we authorize 400,000, 500,000, 700,000, $1 million, we have to have a plan of action. And I know what Scott talked about, that he's provided one before. The county commissioner I talked to this morning, he says, hey, you guys let's talk about an updated plan, what you truly want, what we need to work with. I know you've done it. He's asking for an updated one. And
So I think what we would do is probably bring you
sure,
what's been presented to the county. I know I've shared it with the council, but it's been a minute.
sure.
So we'll bring that back and reconfirm that those are indeed the ones that the county wants to do, because it's very possible we want to change what those projects look like.
We need to talk about those, come up with a plan of action. We need to come up with a proposal for city council consideration on what we can provide for in-kind services or things like that to try to work out. I have some ideas, so hold on.
One, I would also like Good Roads to come be a part of that conversation.
Sure.
Look at what the maintenance.
That's fine. So I'm looking for a motion to basically along the same lines to proceed, direct staff working through Scott to get us all a plan of action to move forward.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I move to direct staff through the city administrator to prepare a proposed plan of action for city council approval for 2026 street paving projects and to identify future general fund revenue as the source for this paving projects.
Okay. Motion made and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Same sign. Motion carries.
I'm going to use the caveat on the revenue side. It will be 100% dependent on the council adopting a budget.
Obviously,
I
I can't
understand.
bind them like that.
Understand. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Discussion, appropriate action, authorize and establish funding and a time frame for closure of the wastewater treatment plant, effluent ponds, in compliance with TCQ. I brought that up because the fact is, and I know you guys have been working on it. I should have said slow walk. Y'all been working on this, but it seems like it's taking forever. And I don't know if, I'm looking right at you, Ricky and John. I don't know if you guys know this, but the initial notification goes back 4 mayors. And we've had enforcement. I know it's a long process. I know staffing. I know there's been discussions. I know there's been a plan back to TCQ. I hate violations hanging over our head. And all I want to do is try to move the ball forward to prioritize this and move it off our plate.
I'm going to say this before. I've said it before. This is the only one that I really kind of had a little bit of an issue with because of, I was looking up there this down here, because of the fact we are making progress on this. It's been reported to council. This is the same group. I've said this before. The department that would do this is the same department that does street maintenance, that does the drainage maintenance. So it is going to come down to, if we want to speed up the timeline, ultimately it's going to come down to an allocation of some kind of resource, whether that's contracting out or ordering a whole crap ton of dirt to fill it in. Because the TCQ is not, but I do want to clarify for all of council, TCQ is not a threat at this point. We are following the plan we submitted. It was approved, and there isn't a timeline associated with it as long as we're continuing to make progress. And we are making good progress. I think there's quite a few tech stop projects that are down the road and the other development projects that we see happening, like this one that happened in town, we make requests for dirt quite often. We say, hey, if you got some dirt, bring it to us. So it's just whether we want to be patient with it and have it be cheap and done on that time frame, or if we want to go and spend some resources.
Okay, I want to ask a very important question
Yeah.
on this particular issue. I believe part of the enforcement initially had to do with the safety of those dams.
Right.
We still have one holding water. Is there still a safety concern with that? And if there is, then it does push it forward.
Well, they've approved the plan for how and when.
Well, I'm
how
going
those
to
are
ask,
gonna be
I'm going to ask the other side.
Yeah, go ahead.
Set TCQ aside for a second.
Sure.
Do we have a safety and a potential liability issue with the continued use of that other pond?
I have to answer yes, because you still have a dam and you still have water in the dam. But as far as
I'm only asking that.
Yeah. So the safety, to the extent that there was a legitimate safety concern they had, which I think is very debatable.
Okay.
The water's still there, so that's still there. But as far as the legal, like the bureaucratic paperwork, we followed it.
Okay.
We're following it, so we're okay there. I will say this: one of the things we can expedite that we hadn't done because of watering, we still, as you know, working on how we're going to water the park.
I understand
We've
that.
presented ideas. We hope to do it cheap, but nothing cheap has come about. That's the only real reason that water is still in that pond. We could accelerate dewatering that pond and putting it through the plant just like we did the East Pond, and then that would make it go away. And so that is something that is one aspect of this that I'll say that we could accelerate, but it comes at the cost of being able to water the pond or water the park, because we do not have an alternate method for watering the park right now. It all comes from that pond. We've thought about ideas, we presented ideas to you all, but they're all kind of expensive.
Don't get me wrong. We need the water to be able to water the park. We use that water. It's discharged to the river. It's not a part of the treatment process. We don't need it. It's already been proven. So the water is kept there for to water the park. But if I know these are broad stroke, but if something catastrophic was to happen today, it's the wastewater plant's responsibility because they didn't address it. So that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, and I would say that anyway.
If I could
I'm just
answer
asking the question.
from a technical
Yes,
standpoint.
yes, please.
If the dam was in imminent danger of failure, TCQ would be on us.
Okay.
It is below slope standard, and the biggest violation is that we allowed trees to grow.
Yes, sir.
And but not because the tree is on it. The tree helps it. But if the tree dies, then the root system degrades, and that becomes a piping issue.
Yes, sir.
So right now we're not having major trees falling down. So we got time on that. But also, if the dam were to fail because of an abundance of water coming in,
yes, sir,
nobody's in the park when that happens because this city closes the gates during any water thing. And the really heavy bad rains, the water's all the way up there anyway. So
and that's kind of what I meant by it.
So I guess I've always advocated let's fill that in. But if you all haven't walked up there, walk up that path off that upper parking lot, and you can walk up beside that East Pond.
Yeah.
They are really filling it.
It's about 30%.
Let me ask you. Yeah, let me ask you. You guys cleared the stuff off London Street, right? Or they did?
Yeah, it's gone.
Okay, so that's all in there. That's awesome. When you have spoils from putting in a utility service, do you take them and put them in there right away? Get rid of them? If it's clean, I understand that. Good.
Yeah, so we've been putting a lot of dirt in there, but that's the only caveat. But if we wanted to accelerate dewatering, I do need probably some direction from council on that, because there is an opportunity cost, which is that watering of the park. There are other options for watering the park that we really need to explore. Sure. Unfortunately, we haven't identified anything that's cheap.
Okay.
It's all fairly expensive.
I was just curious because in the ponds also, that small pond, that first one, feeds from the back, from off of the hills.
Yeah.
Has that been diverted around it? So if it rains, you guys are, y'all working on it. Leave that. I just wanted to make sure, and I'm going to say this, I wanted to make sure, John, your team has what they need from us to make this happen and finish it. Okay.
adding more people, one of the challenges of adding more people, which we definitely need, is it cuts into that streets budget that we were talking about before, trying to include that in our general fund. So we're gonna have some difficult discussions, Mayor, when it comes time to.
We are. Yes, sir.
This is obviously more of a compliance issue than a safety issue. And just curious, if we were to dump copious amounts of material into the leading edge of the dam to get the proper slope, would that change anything, Mr. King?
You'd have to do it all the way up.
Okay, fine. Well, I mean, you'd have to do it all the way across the whole front of the dam.
Well, the biggest compliance issue was not the slopes. The biggest compliance issue was the trees.
It's the trees.
Which Mr. Lee told this place 20 years ago, as the engineer told us, you better do something about those trees. It's going to get you.
Yeah.
And nobody ever did. Maintenance. Is it possible to take any dirt off the hillside safely and use it for the ponds?
Oh, you got all the dirt in the world off the west pond that you could put in the east pond. If you go and make the decision to cut down the berm on.
Yeah, if we dewatered that and we went ahead and backfilled, that would
then
get
you don't have water
all
in
our
the
dirt. We talked about that. We are waiting. I don't remember how long it's been, frankly, but we had a meeting with Michael. Were you on that meeting, Phil, or not? Because we had that meeting to look at getting the engineering design to show what they would need as far as a plan, backfill plan. Anyway, all right. You need a motion, Mayor. I don't know if you already have one.
I would recommend, instead of directing them, as we've all had this discussion, I don't know if the motion would change what we just heard.
The only other thing is, again, do we want to accelerate dewatering? Because that would accelerate the project on some level, or could.
I don't advocate that.
We already have one pond that isn't full to put dirt in, so I don't see why we should.
Well, because it would make the other pond, the dirt from the other pond, available, and it would
Because the dam was going to be removed, not filled behind.
That's right.
Okay.
And we could then remove any safety concerns.
The proposed motion is to move to direct staff to the city administrator to provide city council with a timeline and a cost estimate to complete the wastewater effluent plant project in compliance. That timeline could be 5 years, but I just would like staff to provide a timeline.
Okay.
And a cost estimate on what it's going to do.
So
That's
as
it.
you read.
Second.
Motion and second to direct staff to the city administrator to provide city council with a timeline and cost estimate to complete the wastewater treatment plant effluent pond project. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion. Oh, shoot. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Let's move to the next one. Discussion, appropriate action, identify and fund water line replacement projects. Now, understand, once again, it's not authorizing any funding to do it. It's just, and I wish Jeff Thunder was here, your engineer, just let's lay out a plan. We used to, years ago, we funded so much money a year, we replaced a block or 2 blocks or whatever, 2-inch lines, upgraded them, 3-inch, this and that. It's just a plan. That's what I'm proposing right now.
Could we talk about this one after item
Sure.
11H?
Sure.
Because the municipal well and the water tower are some pretty big needs for our water system. And I think how we fund those will impact how we fund water line replacements.
All right. If y'all want, we can hold off on that. We can hold off on H. We can hold off on,
Just move G to after H.
okay. Well, on H, discuss appropriate action to authorize the installation of pump motor and electrical components for the recently drilled Flat Creek Municipal Water Well. We drilled that well, and I did not, it's shame on me because I didn't fully understand, but all we paid for was a hole in the ground that's capable of producing almost 4,000 gallons a minute water. That's it. We don't have a pump in the hole. We don't have a motor on it. We don't have controls. We have no way to operate it, but we have a great producing well. We funded it with a $3.5 million note, of which the well was just under $2 million or more or less. So the recommendation that I'm posing is to use additional funds of that. Let's finish it. Let's put a motor in it. Let's put a pump and a motor in the controls. Make it operational, whether we turn it on or not. But when we're ready to turn it on, we've got it all in place.
Mayor, can I ask a clarifying question? I'm going to put John on the spot because I just don't remember. And I have a number in mind, but I don't know. I'm not confident it's the right number. Do you remember what Respect told us that was going to cost? because they were going to do we had looked at a change order for this project. I believe I may have.
We talked about it.
Do you remember what that change
I want to
order
think it was about 900, just short of $1 million.
50, but
Okay.
I can't remember.
Okay, because those were estimates.
Right.
Of course, we all know the estimates are sometimes higher than what they should be because you shop them.
Yeah.
But you're looking at I don't know. I'm spitballing here. You're looking at 200 horsepower motor.
That
the controls.
supposed to be several.
You know what I'm getting at? So you're looking at a pretty good chunk of change, but we have that money in that debt that we issued, and when we get ready to turn it on, we need it ready to go. That's my whole point. Finish it.
Yeah. So I wanted the council to be aware of what the dollar figure was because I don't think it was in your report, and I didn't have it ready. But I think that's a safe number. You say 900,000.
We have the funds to do this in the debt. So I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I have some questions for staff.
Okay, hang on. We got a motion. Somebody want to second that? Motion made second to direct staff to the city administrator to install the appropriate well pump, motor controls, associated electrical equipment to operate the new municipal water well recently drilled in Flat Creek development area. Mr. Murs, go ahead.
Was that your motion?
That is his motion. Okay.
So is there any distribution system currently there for this pump to get hooked up to?
Not yet. Flat Creek eventually will be connected to it.
Okay.
They haven't completed their stuff. They're working.
And will this create additional, because this site is eventually going to be our elevated water storage tank. Right. Does this create additional work and additional expense when putting that tower up?
No, it's just the opposite. What it's doing, so the plan was to drill this well and then include those components in the other projects. So all it does is shift some of those costs to this project now so that it's more ready and there's a little bit less to do when you
gets us ahead of the game.
So this is pulling future costs forward.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Could we consider installing variable speed soft starter as well?
Well,
I'm not making a motion. I'm just saying it needs to be considered as part of the package if it fits.
And I believe they'll look at all things possible in that.
I will say it's already been discussed.
Yeah, because they're going into you're pushing against the system in an elevated tank. It'd be different if you were building ground storage.
Yeah, it ultimately depends
it's
on
operation.
how water is stored and how often it's used,
yes.
et cetera. So there's two plans being worked. One of them is the one that I've told you all about, the Flat Creek temporary water plant. That has its own requirements as far as soft start goes and backup generators and all that good stuff. Once there's an elevated tank, some of those components will not be able to be reused because it's just a different setup. But we are looking at all of them.
Okay, we have a motion.
I do have one further question.
Yes, sir.
What is the anticipated cost of phase 2 of the elevated water storage tank?
Great question. It's a question of the day. It really depends on when it gets done and how it gets done, but right now it's between $16 and $20 million.
Okay.
In that range.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to move forward with the pump well electrical components to put in a new well out there so it's ready to operate. Any other discussion?
And sorry, the funding for this would be coming out of the
$3.7 million debt that we did.
Okay.
Yes.
The bond.
3.5, the bonds. Yes. So the funds are readily available.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll cover that again in the CIP because.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Looky there. Got your more work to do, guys. Okay? We love it. Discussion appropriate action to obtain, do you want to go back to G?
Go back to G now.
Discuss and appropriate action, identify and fund water line replacement projects. There was a CIP proposal for $1.5 million over here on San Jacinto Street. My questions on that would be contractor price or in-house, or are we able to do any work in-house on water lines? I know they take longer. I know it's a slower moving project, but I don't know if we're geared that way. I mean, I don't know how many people you guys got with water and or wastewater to move around, but that's a whole different issue we can talk about. But one of the things we're talking about CIP is setting on That's general fund. Don't look at that. We're talking about utilities, setting aside so much each year for water line replacements. That's down the road. But we also have, we're talking to CIP, we have funds available, leftover bonds through the water.
And that's what I would target,
Yeah.
frankly.
We have $1,000,000 in that right now would pay for this project on San Jacinto. So it's basically the same premise. It's getting them to come to, I'm not advocating a single project. Why don't you understand? I'm saying the same thing I said for others, to direct staff through the administrator, work with JJ, come back and here's a plan. Here's what we believe is the lines that need prioritize what needs to be replaced so we can have a water line replacement program. That's what this is all about.
But I think I just want to make a point of clarification. I think your intent was to look at water line replacement program that we can handle in-house.
I'm trying to get the ones we can handle in-house, but see, when you look at the proposal, I know I said in-house, but when you look at, come back to us, say, okay, we have this many and we can do X in-house, or these we need help with. Okay? I think that's a fair question. And you guys, we rely on your assessment, because some of the, I'm going to be real with you, some of the areas, and they're less now than there used to be, but there's still some areas of this town where there's some more empty lots, so less things are in the way, less things to work around. They're not as many, but there's still a few for little projects here and there, okay, that maybe crews can take care of. And then, but that's all part of the whole plan. That's my thought.
You made me think of something else real quick that goes back to the wastewater, the pond. One of the things that we'll bring back when we bring back the plan, this is something we've already discussed somewhat internally, but I'm getting some better numbers on, is what it would look like to redo that water line. That's the problem.
I see that.
Put that a lot deeper so that we can then not worry about the road or the water line and all that. So that'll be part of the plan.
But that's the gist behind this, is to get you guys to do the same thing we just approved to do on streets and drainage projects. Look at it all. These are your homework, guys. Look at all the stuff, come up with a plan of action that we can, a realistic plan of action with estimated timeframes and costs, so we can start moving forward on some of these projects. That's it. And I'm asking for a motion to support that.
Can I make a motion?
Yes, sir.
Move to direct staff to the city administrator to provide city council with a list of water line improvement projects that can be done.
Just say one of your projects.
Just water line improvement projects.
For consideration and funding.
For consideration and funding.
I'll second.
Motion made second to direct staff to work through the city administrator to provide council with a list of water line improvement projects that can be brought back for consideration and funding. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Surprise. You're not surprised, I can tell.
No, I'm not.
So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Are these meant to be all the projects we need to do, or are these meant to be projects that might be able to be done in-house or might be able to be done cheaply?
The motion was not specific to in-house, even though my proposed motion the motion was not. It's to come back with the projects. And what I would ask them, it's not part of the motion, but I would ask them to look at it both ways.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
We'll do that. We've got a list, but we'll do that.
Well,
does that make sense?
If I may suggest something.
Yes,
in this plan, to not just have the lines that currently need to be replaced, but also identify when other lines will be reaching their expected end of life.
Sure.
So that we can we know when they went in.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's a first order approximation, just having a general idea of, how much work we need to get
We have
done.
an age. We have a GIS that has the age of the lines in it.
Right. Okay.
Well, I mean, not. I don't need to know the date and time down to the millisecond, but if it's about 15 years left in this area, or about negative 10 years left in that
What we
area.
will provide is a list of the lines, their location, and what they're made of, and when they were installed. We should be able to give you all that information.
And then recommendations on upgrades and changes. All right. Motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Same sign. No, move forward. Thank you. Motion carries. Now let's go to discussion appropriate action to obtain an engineering cost estimate to rebuild the underground electrical distribution system in the Country Village subdivision. Again, this is not doing the system. This is getting ahead of the curve, having an engineered plan on task. So when we do decide in the future and there becomes the need and funds are available, we can move on it. And we're just that much farther ahead.
What would you estimate the cost of that project to be?
I would probably, I'd say $200,000 because $200 to $300 because no, I'm talking, if you're talking a $3 million project, I'm using the 10% rule on engineering.
Yeah, it's 10 to 14. So.
Okay.
We showed on that project, this is of course, November 2024, that it would be 1.95.
Okay, in the current one that was provided to us earlier today, it has a cost estimate of Country Village at $3 million.
Like
So-
I said, this was back then.
So, right. So,
I was pulling it out
Right.
for you.
Yes, sir.
You got it memorized.
thank you. I passed my test yesterday. I went for my first week test. Okay. Well, I'm talking 3 because I think we need to talk to the engineers and the designs. Yes. Anything we can start with that, but irregardless, the electric system in Country Village went in before Country Village. Same contractor. Okay. It's built a lot better system because it was owned by people that were locals and lived in that subdivision. So there was a lot more QC on that. But it's still the same cable, same type of construction. They have had not a lot of problems, but when they have a problem, it takes that whole circuit down, and then you have to lay an 8,000 volt cable on top of the ground until you get back in there to fix it. Am I right? Okay.
Just went down today during the council meeting.
Am I right?
Yeah, that was a transformer issue, but yes.
I know, but they had to put a line between transformers,
Can I
right?
make a motion?
Yes, sir, please.
I move to direct staff and the city administrator to prepare a plan of action, including cost estimate, to including a cost estimate to design to rebuild the underground electrical distribution center for the Country Village subdivision for the city council review and consideration.
I'll
So
second.
this isn't authorizing someone to do it, just get an
Just
estimate
get it
Okay.
processed.
for the
All right.
design.
Bring back the estimate for the design. We'll go from there. We're moving in the right direction.
That's my motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to authorize the funding and direct staff to bring back a proposal for the cost of the design so we can move forward for the electric. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I haven't talked the last several weeks before this taking place.
Okay.
Anyway, I know in the in River Bluff, we were, and maybe this is going to happen here because we prioritize where the major problem areas were. We tackle those years before they actually did the transfer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because the way the thing was originally wired in, if one part went bad, it affected not only all of River Bluff, it affected the city.
Yes, sir.
And so, 15 years ago or so, we started splitting that up. It was a 3-phase plan. The last part of the 3-phase was to put in the new transformer and underground lines. But there were other pieces before that that helped isolate River Bluff. So if it had an issue, it basically stayed in River Bluff, and even smaller sections of River Bluff before we got that. And so I'd like to see that same consideration made with Country Village, since it really hasn't given us much issue, but it does need to be taken care of.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion to direct staff working with the city administrator to come back with us with a cost estimate for the design work to upgrade the electric system in Country Village. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposition, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Next item is item J. Discussion and possible action on a franchise agreement with West Texas Gas. I put that back on there. I know we had it on the last meeting. We had a discussion, and part of our discussion, there were some questions concerning if the city could collect a franchise fee, or if the utility, there's no CCNs on gas, if we can restrict them from coming to the city, or we can control or manage them. And the short answer is, I got from the attorney, and I'm going to say this, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. We do have a right to collect a franchise fee in order for them to operate within the city limits of Castroville. So the decision has to come down to, we have 3 subdivisions with development agreements that the city did not require them to put gas in. And now at least one of them that already has all their streets and building houses may want gas. West Texas is trying to work that out. So the city has to make a decision whether this, and they won't pay to put the lines in, these developers, because we didn't require it as part of the initial development agreement. My understanding on that.
MP Homes, we did have some success that council needs to be aware of.
Okay.
Through and Dan, you weren't on the call, so but you have been on the emails. But MP Homes is going to put gas in their system because it's in the agreement, it's referenced in the agreement. Just putting in any of their civils that they submitted.
Right.
But they confirmed that they are putting it in. They're putting it at their cost. So that was a small win.
Okay, well that is a win because they're if it's not spelled out in a development agreement, they're not necessarily required to do it, even though the city can. It's our utility, and we, by our rules, you want it, you pay for it. We can mandate it in our city limits development. But anyhow, long story short, the city has to make a decision whether the city wants to invest the cost to run these utility lines in these subdivisions, or initiate a franchise agreement and collect a franchise fee that's payable to the general fund without the expense of operating the gas system in these areas. My thought is, well, I'm not a fan of the city not maintaining control of the utility since we own that utility. Economics tell me, based on everything I'm hearing, the city would probably be better off, in my opinion, in collecting the franchise agreement without the expense of running that system in those select areas. And then we can cross it we can address it in the future. So even though I put that in there, I'm not necessarily saying give West Texas a carte blanche franchise agreement, but it's a case by case on development. That's my opinion. Anybody want to take a stab at that? Sure. Go ahead.
Someone sabotages that you, Mr. Martin? Anyway, concerning the proposed agreement with West Texas Gas to do infrastructure and the new development within the city limits as stated in this, the voters were provided information by this administration in order to make a choice on retaining or selling the city gas system. The voters decided to retain the gas system, and I believe that vote was influenced by the understanding it was not losing money and could contribute to the operation of the city utility system. That meant there was an implied expectation that the cost to maintain, improve, and expand and get labor, heavy equipment, and tools needed to do the system properly was going to come. We're now fulfilling those initial needs. Recently, I asked the Public Works Director in a council setting if the gas system was paying its own way and was told no. There seems to be reluctance to have the gas system pricing such that it pays the total cost to operate, repair, and be prepared for expansion that comes with development. Any contract with the West Texas Gas gives them the ability to cover their cost with this agreement. Since we seem to have no issue operating gas at a loss, my guess is West Texas Gas will not operate at a loss. That means to me we don't want to raise prices to cover our costs, but we allow West Texas Gas to price their service to cover their costs. So we're essentially saying we don't mind them making a fair profit at covering their costs, but we don't want to. We both know they're not going to absorb some cost of doing business just because they have a personal interest in the city of Castroville. They are not an altruistic operation. The citizens decided that we would operate the gas system. So to me, that means the gas system that currently exists and the gas system expansion needed for the future is covered by that. If West Texas Gas can make it profitable operation off our citizens, then we should be able to do it also. We just need to have the fortitude to do it. I do not support this contract with West Texas Gas. The voters gave us the responsibility based on what the city told them. That means anything within the city limits and or in close proximity, the city should be fully willing and able to service. Otherwise, we are telling the citizens we're not honoring their vote and the confidence they placed in us. I'm almost done. What we need is a presentation by staff of our projected area responsibility, including what coincides with our CCNs and what expected development may or may not be within the city limits or in close proximity to the city limits. That tells us what it would take to expand gas service and what capacity we currently have to expand it. And so based on having that information, some projections of expansion, the cost to run lines and so forth would give us a better idea of whether it makes sense to proceed with this deal or not. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. King.
It is up to the developer if they're going to use City of Castroville gas or any other gas. Or can we?
I mean, I know that you brought up some other examples, but the real issue stems from the fact that at the time, the Alsatian Oaks and Flat Creek agreements were being agreed to by the city didn't know whether it had the capacity to serve or not. That's what it all boils down to. And so we couldn't guarantee. It's not like water or sewer. We could say, well, this is what it'll take. And we dealt with a lot of difficulties with CPS getting those answers. And so finally, we did have the answer, but it was a day late and a dollar short because we'd already had the agreement in place. There is an opportunity to the extent that you're leveraging our conversations with Mary and P3 to try and have these conversations with developers. The time is passing quickly because Flat Creek is doing all their underground improvements, and so that's really what if you were to do this. I have mixed feelings because you kind of open that door to this, but if you were to do this agreement, I would strongly encourage council to consider limiting it to the geography of Alsatian Oaks and Flat Creek, and just say, okay, for those two areas, we're going to collect the 7%, because I think there is an opportunity to serve, for instance, the Gutierrez tract if it needs natural gas, and other places in the city that might be able to be expanded to. Now that we know we have the capacity and we have a plan, we have at least the skeleton of a plan of what that would look like.
So I guess going back to my same question, the developer has a choice. If we said, yes, we can provide gas, City of Castroville Utilities, if we said we can provide gas.
We don't really give them that choice. In our development agreement, we say you will put.
Well, the development agreement's already done.
I know.
I'm talking about those development agreements. Just these two.
Yeah, those two.
Just these two. That's all. That's all. So the discussion is just for.
Flat Creek.
Actually, we're working.
Yes,
we're currently working with Flat Creek, Alsatian Oaks,
yeah,
and the MP Homes.
Okay.
Castro Heights. We're working with all three of those, renegotiating new development agreements or amendments to development agreements.
So we're negotiating amendments to them.
That's correct.
But right now, the current agreement doesn't say they have to use our gas.
That's right. And I don't know if we'll be successful. I mean, we were successful with MP Homes. I don't know if we'll be successful with the others or not. They're different arrangements. They're different situations. Right. In the case of Alsatian Oaks, they have a TERS.
So let's take the first one now.
Yeah.
The first one, they're putting in the gas lines. We just have to hook up the trunk line to it. I'm using simple words.
Yes.
Are they saying they will use us?
MP Homes?
MP Homes?
Yes.
So they'll use us,
yeah,
and we can hook up to them.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have a franchise. So West Texas Gas wouldn't have a franchise agreement with us.
No, they're building their gas distribution system just like any other subdivision was, and then dedicated to the city.
And that, yeah. So that's what I'm saying is I think we ought to, if you make this decision, you ought to limit it to just those other two, because time is of the essence with those other two. But I'll also say that there is, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. There is a small chance that we could get Flat Creek to put in the system at their cost, because we would increase the PID. We would make that a part of the PID eligible cost potentially.
So second question, but related to this. So let's say the second subdivision. You just take one at a time. On that one, no matter who goes in there and supplies gas, they have to pay a franchise fee to us, right? I mean, West Texas Gas, if they go in there, if if Gray Forest goes in there, whoever goes in there, they would have to pay.
Well, we have to give them a franchise agreement first. So the only franchise agreement you're looking at giving right now is to West Texas. They can't use Gray Forest. They can't use
come in our
anybody
city without a
because we
franchise
don't have those franchise agreements in place. The other places where you heard of people doing that, they must, I don't know why, but they must have franchise agreements with CPS.
Well,
And that's
no.
what allows them for something.
If they're in a corporate municipal's jurisdiction, they have to have a franchise agreement. If they're not in a municipal's corporation, there's nobody.
Which both of those are, Alsatian Oaks and.
I understand it, but I'm talking about other utilities.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah.
If they're not in a corporate city limits, then there's nobody to
why.
pay a franchise agreement to.
So the short answer is no, they can't just use anybody.
Right.
They would only be able to use who we grant franchise agreements to.
So the developers already approached West Texas. West Texas Gas. Say we want your gas. So now West Texas Gas is coming to us to get a franchise.
Yeah, because apparently, I guess they're willing to put it in that gas system. I don't know.
But has West Texas Gas come back to us after the last council? Because I remember at the last council meeting they weren't there. Okay. So in their mind, this is kind of like an automatic thing, and it's a no-brainer that we're discussing. That's why they aren't that concerned about it.
Well, I want to let you know something, Phil, and this is where Scott, and I appreciate it on MP Homes, I appreciate it. If you recall, several months ago, when the MP Homes and Flat Creek, they wanted an increase in their PIDs, okay? But those increases have not been approved because we're currently negotiating development agreement amendments in exchange for increasing those PIDs. That's where they were successful. For example,
So Provident, one of the big
get
one
the
is
gas.
like Provident Land on MP Homes. We had a lot of
Follow me?
conversation about that.
Yeah, so MP Homes took care of it. And the second one now, where they also are asking for a change because of what the increase in the
Right,
bid.
right. We're still negotiating with them.
We're still negotiating.
We haven't even really started, frankly, because we're trying to get MP Homes done first. And I owe y'all a memo on this. I know that. That's one of the things I'm working on.
Right.
But we're still working. The goal is to get MP Homes done as a template and get it to you all and make sure you're comfortable with kind of how this works before we proceed with any of the other developers. Because MP Homes is supposed to be the most straightforward and the easiest, but as the longer you deal with these things, the more you find out that none of them are easy or straightforward.
So anyway,
So why are you recommending that we don't do this with the second one that they're?
The only thing gives me pause about giving this is, again, you're opening the door to on some level. The other issue is that we don't know until we start the negotiations with Flat Creek whether they may be at a place where they could actually come to the table and say, yeah, we'll put it in at their expense because they'll be able to pass that cost along in their PID potentially. But again, I don't know if they're willing to do that or not. And that's a gamble as well. So yeah, that's what y'all get to weigh. But that's the only part of this that give me any pause. I mean, I kind of frankly don't have a whole lot of heartache over the fact that they're going to put in a gas system. We get 7%. We don't have to maintain it. We don't have to do anything. We just get 7%. That's not a bad deal. Now they haven't agreed. 7% would be the highest franchise fee.
but it's important to note that the franchise fee is a direct payment to the general fund, and there's no expense to the utility system.
Right.
So
it's
kind
a
of
nice
trade-off
money.
here.
Yeah, it's a nice amount of money for basically nothing. But understand the 7% isn't guaranteed either. That's a negotiated percentage. We'd need to go and get them to agree to that.
Mayor, I'll bet you they'll pay 10% and let you start to the customer.
Absolutely.
Anything that's not in the city limits would then be up.
It's a council decision. It's a financial decision. Invest in the system upgrades and maintain it forever in exchange for what return on investment versus just getting a return.
Well, and I was an advocate for selling the system way back. I just couldn't advocate for it publicly.
Well, what Bob Lee brought up, and I don't want to relive all of that, but there was, because I know, I said keep it based on the information provided, that we had later found out that our contract operator was actually subsidizing the cost of operating. And we found that out the hard way when we took over operations. So, and it's no offense against the city, it's just the way things played out.
But we had
it looked like we were making a lot of money on it. and actually we weren't. Okay, yes, sir.
So technically, you're forgetting a third option,
Okay.
which is that gas is a redundant system. Like the electrical grid, it delivers energy to citizens.
Yes.
We don't technically need both. Personally, I think it would be to the benefits of the average citizen if we phase the gas system out over time. Now, there's a jumping councilman over here who disagrees with me, and that's fine. I like my warm home not depending on the mood of several temperamental foreign nations. But the average citizen does not agree with me. They express their interest in us continuing to operate the system for the foreseeable future, and I respect that interest. I think that if the gas utility is going to be available in the city, our current and future citizens deserve to have it operated by the city.
Okay.
Then they have a say in its governance and can hold its leaders, council, accountable. A private company makes no such guarantee, and we have less control over the design and build out of the system. If that company goes bankrupt, we have a limited ability to intervene while it's stuck in court for years. Ultimately, that franchise fee is going to be coming from our citizens anyway, which means that the citizens in that part of the city are going to pay for all the same utilities that everyone else has, and then they're just going to pay extra for no reason. And I don't think that's fair to them. I do not think we should agree to a gas franchise agreement in any part of the city.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, one more.
I keep looking here.
Go down there first.
Scott, John, the Public Utility Commission regulates gas fees.
No.
Railroad
Commission
Railroad
does.
Commission. So whatever the fees are set, they have to justify them to the Railroad Commission because the people are locked in to, they can't just charge what they want to for the gas because they have no competition. Yeah.
We can.
And then, and the thing with, David, the one thing is you said gas for electricity, but electricity is CPS out there. It's not Castroville, so it's not like we provide one or the other.
We get a franchise fee in both cases.
We get a franchise fee, but we don't supply the electricity over there, so that's not like one of our utilities to get you. It's a difficult decision. Okay.
Yes, sir, Mr. Lee.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. When we were discussing this before, I did my normal research. Over 50% of Americans and developers prefer to have gas in addition to electricity, which you've obviously got to have. Talk to those millions of people with no electricity, but they still have gas, just like 2022 when the electricity was out.
Wait a minute. I want to tell you something right now.
I'm one of the
You do know-
millions that don't want
You
gas.
do know that Country Village has a power outage that doesn't know how many people it's affecting
Right now?
right now.
Yes, right.
No, Country Village is back up.
I'm sorry. Shh. I was trying to use that.
It is better. We don't know how many people it's affecting.
How long after we agreed to pay for electrical improvements did it come back up? That's my question.
Okay. I tried.
I appreciate the fact when I speak, it's a free-for-all, but anyway, gas is a outstanding backup. It's more economical in some ways than other things that take electricity, and you offer people the option, and it gives you a ability to stay in your home if the electricity's out, which you otherwise would have to go somewhere else to stay. So
Do you have
anyway.
a question?
All right. Let's get back on task. If y'all are not in agreement with the franchise agreement, you want to hold off on that, that's fine. I just entertain a motion either way or let it die.
You can just not do anything.
I'd like to make a motion to reject the request for a franchise agreement for West Texas Gas in the city of Castroville.
Reject.
Okay?
I mean, I can't bind future
Need a
uses.
second?
If there, is there a second on that?
I wouldn't say.
Okay, there's no second on that motion, and unless there's another motion or anything like this, we'll just let this die on the table.
I guess the last discussion is, we're not saying they can't have gas there. What we're simply saying is, do we want the city of Castroville to provide the
Right.
gas, or do we want to just take a franchise fee?
Well,
And that's a economic decision, which I don't feel comfortable in figuring out what the future future,
What-
what that future looks like based on that.
We're not ready to
do it.
move forward for any additional discussions on a franchise
But
agreement
I
at this
would
time.
entertain, and not a motion,
Sure.
but if staff could look at that,
Sure.
and when this does come up again, to show that to us, what the future stream. looks
Pros
like
and
in
cons,
that one
what the value,
If
what
we
it
were
would be
to,
both ways.
if we were to put it in at our cost, and then how long it take to recoup that cost, is that what you're talking about?
Well, the revenue stream from that versus the revenue stream from not spending any money and just getting
Right.
franchise fee.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, let's move on. Next item is item 12,
That's a motion.
City Administrator Report. Scott, did you want to talk about any of this
Not
stuff, or
really.
you just want, okay.
Not really.
I mean, I'm good with a lot of, I do want to make a comment real quick, if I can, interject something in your reports. Yesterday at Commissioners Court meeting, I have now been appointed to the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization Active Transportation Advisory Committee.
There you go. We have an active transportation plan. So that's
I
perfect.
know, and it was specifically about sidewalks, this and that. So I'm now on that Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization Active Transportation Advisory Committee. We have people working on that too. So thank you very much. Appreciate that, Judge Lutz. So anyway, I just wanted to pass that on to everybody. Scott, did you want to talk about anything or just feel?
No, I'll open it up for questions.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
There is a note in here about the SCADA system, that there is issues with the communications. There's issue with,
It's in Public Works
uh,
report.
I don't know, it's all in the same tab.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know. I'm
Yep.
just
Okay.
clarifying for
And,
the rest of the council. It's in the
and-
Public Works report.
And I'm just curious, it says the quality control was not sufficient with the components coming out of this company. And so we're having issues with them already. And I wondered at some point if you might give council more understanding of
Sure, we'll
of that.
provide an
Doesn't
update.
have to be right now.
Sure. We'll continue to provide an update on that project.
Mr. Murray, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Mr. King?
The one thing on the Texas Parks and Wildlife grant, there was something on the news the other day about this mass amounts of millions of dollars that they gave out. And that one stipulation is that the parks have to be open to the public forever. But have we checked to see, can we still charge fees to come into the parks based on that criteria, if that were to come up in the future?
That's easy, but I can reach out to TPWD and get some clarifying information.
You mean like put up a kiosk or something?
Put up a kiosk, or it just simply in the news article, because they talk about this, and we've got one of the bigger ones, by the way. And they weren't specific talking about Castro, but they said one of the criteria of the grant was that it had to be open to the public in perpetuity. And so the idea then was, it came into my mind, are they saying, for instance, can we even charge like we do when people come in for Easter, or is that, so just if you could clarify that.
Well, and the caveat of that, to your point, is Castroville, they would be open forever. How do you define it? Non-residents or just residents? See what I mean?
I'll do some research and send it over to Scott.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it?
Let me see, I thought there was another, that's it.
Mr. Marchman?
Nope, I'm good.
Ms. Martinez?
Well, I did have one.
Okay.
13 dead animals.
Pardon?
13 dead animals.
Yeah.
What about?
What about it?
Seems like a lot.
It could be from being hit on.
Get hit by a vehicle.
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
Like-
sir. That's not a lot.
that's not
I'm
a
on-
lot. Good.
I'm gonna ask this, I know it's in the report, but I'm just gonna ask you, the warrant roundup, success?
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning it, Mayor. So I would call it a moderate success. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea, but there
No,
were 9 arrests as related to that. No one went to jail. We collected, I can't remember the total amount in fines. but more or less it was a break-even operation because we paid overtime and
Sure.
everything else to carry it out. So it wasn't like and that's another thing for people to understand. It wasn't a goal for the city to go make a ton of money. It's really about, one, conveying that we are watching. Warrants do matter. When you get them, then you need to take care of them because you can end up going to jail if you don't. So in that sense, it was a success. Obviously, there are more warrants outstanding than what we were able to go collect. That
Right.
We didn't find everybody that we were looking for. But I would say, all in all, it was good. It was good.
They had a lot coming ahead of time too. They had a good.
Yeah. We had a number of people come in before.
Voluntarily.
I don't have that
Good.
number as far as that collections. I only have the day of. But there were a number of folks that came in.
They were quite busy.
Well, I'm just gonna make a general comment. The revenue's nice, but it's not about the revenue. It's
That's
about
right.
getting compliance with people that otherwise are not compliant.
Right.
And that's the whole idea. And to send the message that the city is committed to compliance. That's my take on it.
Yeah, break the law.
Okay,
Hey, some level.
that's why I'm not going to chase you down, but you know what? When it is, it is.
I have one
Yeah, yes, sir.
question for Jonah.
Yes, sir.
In the library presentation where you're hitting your head with the hammer, next time you do that, can I be the one to hit you in the head and I pick the size of the hammer?
One more question as
That's
far
cute,
as
by the way.
one more question about the park, and I don't think it matters to y'all, but I just wanted to say it. If nothing else, before I can say it, the partial shutdown or whatever, is that just Homeland Security? It doesn't affect any other funding, federal funding? Are we affected any way, shape,
Not
or
that
form?
I've been advised. Not that I'm aware of.
So-
there is
So on that, I can, because it was brought up in the news and everything.
Yes.
So there's only two departments that funding is affected, and that's TSA and the Coast Guard.
Okay.
Everything else, their budget was passed back in July.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, great.
I just wanted to make sure that we don't go down that trail again.
Oh yeah. Those are the only two that are affected by the government.
We were at their whim.
Straighten them out.
Could
I
happen.
want to try.
All right, we got CIP. Come on.
Okay, anything else? All right, thank you very much. Turn in your new agenda items and we'll go from there. We're going to, somebody give me a motion to adjourn really quick for this one.
I so moved. Adjourn.
Please send them in. A new agenda items. Did you have something you wanted to bring up right now? Yes, sir, I did. I seen them.
I'll just quickly mention the two from Parks and Rec Board, which were revisions to the subdivision ordinance parkland dedication
Yes.
and a community center policy.
And I will tell you my opinion when you brought that up earlier, that I believe those revisions should come before council to broadly look at them and then send them back to PNC.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Sounds good. I'll file to get them on our next agenda.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we, in concept, we agree.
I would like to have
I'm
us
sorry, the
review
park
the
land and
electricity reconnect
Community
fee
center
just
policy.
before
Yes, sir.
This must be research with the correct fact.
Okay, thank you. Motion
I'm sorry,
to
what'd you say? We didn't hear that.
the comprehensive fee schedule concerning reconnect fees.
Yeah, I think we confirmed that.
Okay, motion to adjourn, second, somebody? Yes, okay, motion second, adjourned, all in favor? Aye, this meeting is adjourned.
Hey, I do it every time.
This meeting is adjourned at, what is it, 8:53 PM. We will reconvene the CIP special meeting at 9 PM.
Because I have to start all this over.
Oh, okay, excuse me. After we recess, we'll come in, and the first thing we'll do, we'll have a motion to reopen the special meeting. Yes, okay?
It's gonna be a whole new meeting on here.
All right, you've got 7 minutes, Mr.